Welcome to MyFinJourney. Today's episode is going to be a little different. We're going to highlight a guest that went from genetics to real estate. Our guest is going to highlight that taking risks isn't crazy, that when you're strategic, it's not even that risky. Our guest is building wealth for over 277 people. He's made them over $14.9 million passively, and he's increased their net worth by over $31.9 million. I, Mustafa Ladha, am today's guest, and it's a pleasure to run the MyFinJourney podcast. In today's conversation, it's just you and I want to take you back in time to share my journey and how I built freedom. If our guests can show how they're doing it, then so can you. So let's jump in. I started my career in healthcare. I studied genetics, and then I went to work in the pharmaceutical industry. I had stability, I had status, but what I didn't have was freedom. And I remember that feeling. Being on a treadmill, saving a little, getting a small raise, but not really getting ahead. Early on, I knew the traditional path doesn't work. I knew the numbers didn't make sense. People don't have enough to retire at 65. This led me to study money. It led me to want to understand how money works so that I could understand how to make money work for me. This is not straightforward at all. It led me down many rabbit holes, many different strategies. I created different businesses and I sold them. I made money, but at the cost of time. Ultimately, the playbook here is very simple. I leveraged the stability of my job to focus on making more money in my free time. I traded time for money until I built out a framework, a path, a system to do things more efficiently. And that system is this. I went to the person doing the best and I asked what his biggest problem was, his biggest pain point. And I addressed that problem. This led me to real estate, and it led me to see that real estate was the most scalable asset class because true wealth is built with leverage and strategic partnerships. What I mean by that is the biggest companies in the world rely on other people's time. They rely on their employees, and they rely on other people's money, their investors. Those biggest companies in the world, they're listed on the S&P 500, and you and I are probably investors in those companies. In my experience, real estate is the best way for most people to build wealth. And I say that because I've built a community of over 277 people. I've actively managed over $61 million in investor capital, worth over $120 million of real estate. And I've made people over $14.9 million passively. But what's important here isn't the money. It isn't the how much I've made people. It's what that money buys. It buys freedom. And that freedom doesn't come overnight. To clarify, the goal here was never wealth. It was the ability to do what you want. The goal has always been to help people and to help people at scale. And as I've dug deeper, I transitioned from helping people with their health to helping people with their money, helping people build freedom and helping people understand and define what freedom is for them. That's the fun in what I do. Seeing the change in people over time. People go from being anxious about their money with no one to talk to feeling empowered. Here's what it boils down to. Financial education is freedom. Financial education is the most important thing that you can do to help yourself and to help your family. You can't outsource your financial life. You can hire advisors, accountants, and wealth managers, but if you lack that clarity, then they won't be able to help you efficiently. This clarity is so important, and it's something you have to do on your own. You have to provide direction for your whole team to efficiently add value. Because here's what the data says. The average high-income professional, the guy making $250K plus a year, feels stuck. He makes a good amount of income, or she makes a good amount of money, but makes very little progress. In fact, 33% of those people live paycheck to paycheck. And that's by design. The system, American capitalism, rewards consumption, not clarity. And that's the heart of financial freedom. It's not about a number, but it's about structure and purpose. So if I could summarize this and teach one framework to think about your money, it would be this: awareness, alignment, and action. Starting with awareness. Most people don't have a money problem. They have an awareness problem. You can't manage what you don't measure. If you don't know your cash flow, if you don't know your net worth, if you don't know where your money is actually going, honestly, it's normal. And that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is not knowing where you're at. not actually tracking your finances. And there's a reason people don't track their finances, because it's uncomfortable. But that awareness gives you control, and that control gives you options. When you know you have extra money, you can decide to invest, and then that money can scale and work harder for you. When you know you don't have any savings left over each month, or worse, you're losing money every month, then you can actually tackle the problem, and you can trade time to make more money. You can take on a second job. You can invest in yourself to ultimately be in a position to make more money in your job. Invest in skills and leverage those skills to monetize, to make more. This leads us to point number 2, alignment. Money is just a tool. It's not good or bad. It's neutral. But if your money isn't aligned with your values, you'll always feel tension. This is how it manifests for me. I'm big on charity. It comes from my faith, but more than that, it comes from my upbringing. And it causes an internal struggle. I don't need to buy things to feel happy, but I need to feel like I'm helping people to feel happy. So if people need money for food and I have no money, I need to figure out how to make money so I can help others. This mentality has evolved over time, and it's led to me creating systems and processes versus just helping people on a one-off donation. And it's also the backbone of everything we talk about at MyFinJourney. The platform that we're building is all about helping empower you to scale. And it stems from the idea of charity. It stems from the importance of knowledge. It stems from the importance of action. And it's even manifested in how we approach investing, which I'll get into later. Circling back and doubling down on action. Knowledge is power, but action is what changes your life. And a lot of times people think you need to take big action to see massive results, but the data suggests the exact opposite. You just need to start small. Start with the idea of investing time to learn and grow. Start with the idea of implementing what you learn to try to make money. Double down on the strategies that work and scale those strategies. In other words, if you're doing something and you're not making money, stop doing it. If you're doing something else and you are making money, continue doing that same action. Continue doubling down. Continue testing out different ways to make more. Because if you're making money, that means you're creating a lot of value. And that's what you always want to focus on. Not the money, but the value you're creating. Because strategies will plateau. You'll be doing something and it won't work anymore. That's because you're no longer adding enough value. And that's what you want to focus on in all of your endeavors, whether you're working for somebody or building your own business. It's to optimize for value creation and continue to create more value for people. And that will enable you to monetize. That's what I do with real estate. I help people make money passively. And that's what I do with real estate. I help make people money passively. And as I scaled that business, it got to a point where I was helping people more and creating more value than I was in my traditional 9-to-5 job in the pharmaceutical industry. So I was faced with a question: where do I spend my time? Do I spend my time in the pharmaceutical industry where maybe things are plateauing a little bit, or I'm scaling slower? Or do I focus on progress? Do I focus on getting 1% better? Do I focus on continuing to scale my business? Because here's the reality. You can't wait for perfect timing. You have to build systems and processes. The wealthy aren't smarter. They're just more consistent. They put their money to work while everyone else is waiting for the right time. Before I continue, I want to pause for a minute to say something important. If you're getting value from this video, I have an important favor to ask. Honestly, I feel uncomfortable asking it, but it's really important. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss videos like this. It really helps people like you discover this content. It helps people like you who want to understand money, not just chase it. It helps people like you who want to attract wealth rather than go running after it. And that's why I started the channel, to create genuine value for people, to help people on their terms. So some people ask me, how does MyFinJourney fit into all of this? How does the podcast really help people? And it's really quite simple. There are so many gaps in the market, and financial literacy is a huge one. Smart professionals like you don't have access to aligned investment education. This platform is for people like you. Most people don't need more theory. They need guidance from someone they trust, and they need access to a community. I've built MyFinJourney to bridge this gap. The podcast is just one part of the community. It's where we bring real stories, real strategies, and real people who've taken control of their financial lives, whether through real estate, entrepreneurship, or disciplined planning. We wanted to create a space where people could learn and build wealth without losing their values. Because wealth without purpose isn't freedom, it's just a burden. Now let's talk practically. How do you actually build wealth with purpose and clarity? It's really quite simple. It comes down to understanding your goals. Are you looking for short-term income? Are you looking to grow? Are you looking for tax efficiency? Or are you trying to build a legacy? For most people, the answer is just yes, which doesn't really make sense. For most people, the answer is I want everything, which I can understand. But the reality is a bit more nuanced. The reality is that you're climbing upstairs and you need to take one step at a time to get to the top. For a lot of people, that path is, hey, I need to make more money short term. I need to replace my day job income. To, hey, I want my portfolio to grow as much as possible. To, hey, I'm making too much money and I'm paying too much in taxes. How can we be smarter about this? And how can I build my net worth more efficiently? To, hey, I have a very large nest egg. I have a very large net worth. How do I make sure my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, how do I make sure my family never has to think about money? A lot of times when you're on social media, the viral concepts are the ones that you hear the most. And oftentimes the problem is that that content skips steps. And that's the problem that MyFinJourney looks to address, to really talk to people where they're at, to really provide actionable feedback that can help you learn and grow, to match strategies with your phase of life, Because sure, everyone should invest in real estate. Everyone should invest in the stock market. Everyone should have savings. But the reality is different depending on where you are in life. And for most people, they just end up overly diversified instead of diversifying intelligently. For most people, they end up overly diversified, overly indexed, instead of diversifying intelligently. To put that into context, most people might have multiple ETFs, exchange-traded funds, and those ETFs might all have the same stocks. In that situation, you feel like you're diversified, but really you have a high concentration of a specific number of stocks and no exposure to real estate and minimal savings. So ultimately, when you're speaking to somebody like me, it's important to get hyper-specific, to get into the nitty-gritty, to build out a strategy that aligns with your goals. From a real estate perspective, that could be a fund structure that's diversified. It could be a single project that's ground-up construction. It could be a single project that's value add and cash flowing. Each strategy has its own nuances, and each strategy is good depending on where you are in life. And ultimately, you want to move those strategies that build generational wealth. And I've seen that transformation happen in real time. I've seen investors transform their personal finances, not because of luck, but because they followed a clear system. But most people don't know that system, and you're actually not supposed to know the system. Knowing the system makes you an informed customer, an informed investor. It means you won't make moves emotionally anymore. You'll start investing logically, making decisions in your best interest instead of the company or the marketer or the person selling you. Here's what I mean. I had a person who came to me with $200K in savings and zero direction. We spoke about his goals, what he was looking to accomplish, and it became clear that he had a son who was engaged to be married soon. So he wanted a strategy that would make him money passively, but something where he had liquidity, where he had access to the money if he needed it. So that's what we built out. And that's what clarity looks like, putting your money to work for you on your terms. Because ultimately, having all of your savings in a 401k that you can only access when you're 65 doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really help you in the short term or the medium term, and it'll help you in the long term if you're around. So it's about being a bit clearer about understanding the nuances and really optimizing for them. So if you made it this far, it tells me something, that you care about your future. Don't just listen to this episode. Start your journey today. Write down your financial why. Write down what you're looking to accomplish. Write what you're looking to accomplish 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. Build your awareness. Track your income, your spending. Understand how that links to your goals, your 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year goals. Align your investments with your values. And take one small action step this week, even if that's just opening an investment account or a savings account or booking a call with someone you trust to talk through your situation. If you're looking for guidance, tools, or community, that's exactly why we built MyFinJourney. Stay tuned as we continue to build more resources to help you scale. And if you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss more videos like this. Ultimately, I want to end with this. Your money should be working harder than you do. I'm Mustafa Ladha. This is MyFinJourney. Until next time, stay invested, stay aligned, and keep building your freedom.